Welcome back, Sims fans. Today, I was thinking about St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City and realized our Sim York needed a little bit of magic. Since I built this world as a love letter to my beloved New York City, I went scouring the Sims 2 internet and found the perfect cathedral. Of course, I had to renovate it and make it a little bit of my tipsy own, and also set it up for my Sim daughter's wedding. Come on with me and take a look and see how we brought a little bit of Midtown flair and a lot of romance to our city. What you're watching at the start here is me rearranging my entire city because I had this idea stuck in my head. I kept thinking about St. Patrick's Cathedral in the middle of Midtown Manhattan, and I realized that's what Sim York is missing. Something grand, something dramatic, a space that felt like New York. I scoured the old Sims 2 websites and looked for a cathedral that would work in the game, and that's a lot harder than what it sounds like. A lot of the older games crash because they come with broken custom content. I did finally find one that didn't blow up my game, and I will link it in the description down below in case you wanted to try it too. Now, here's where things get a little bit personal. My Sim self has a daughter in this world, and she is engaged. And I wanted this cathedral not just as a city landmark, but to host her real wedding venue. And the lot already had a wedding arch and even a creepy catacomb, which I love, by the way. But I wanted to decorate it a little bit more to give it that something Sim special New York sparktacular. If you've ever seen St. Patrick's Cathedral in real life, you know it has huge towering windows which are iconic. So I went and downloaded some specialty windows to bring that Midtown Manhattan drama. I tried to add some giant cathedral doors too, but you'll see in some areas the Sims 2 wouldn't have it. So I worked around the areas that they wouldn't let me put two-story doors, because sometimes you just have to let the game win battles, and you know how the Sims 2 is. If it wants something, it wants something. I honestly don't think I could have built something this detailed from scratch, but with a few tweaks, it feels like it belongs in my city, and most importantly, it's now going to be ready for my Sims wedding. If you're enjoying these videos, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I post every other Wednesday. Let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to see more of my Sims lives, maybe a little story behind my Sims surprise engagement, because trust me, my stories are always very juicy. When I get these crazy OCD ideas like the windows, I never think about things like you're going to have to replace almost every single window in this church. And even in a speed build, it takes forever. It was worth it in the end when I look back at the church. So while I'm obsessing over windows, let's talk about something else. We're going to talk about my Sim self daughter. She got engaged in real life, and it's kind of fun sometimes to mimic your life in the game. So in this game, I had my little Sims, which was her and her fiance, sitting at the table, and they did a surprise engagement. And this was so much fun because my daughter in real life had never seen this. She didn't even know you could do this. And she just got a thrill out of her little Sim fiance asking her to marry her as a surprise engagement. And so that was great. So part of this was when I decided to do the St. Patrick's Cathedral, that I was going to set up this as a wedding venue and decorate it as if there was going to be a wedding to be had, because then it's more fun, like as if our Sims are renting this out as a wedding venue for her wedding, because of course I in real life would not be able to afford to rent out St. Patrick's Cathedral. I can't even imagine what the starting cost of that would be. But that's part of the fun of The Sims 2, is that you can do some things in The Sims 2 that you could not do in real life. Since we are supposed to be in Midtown in the city, I am going to cover a lot of the grass up with sidewalk. I did want to keep a little tiny bit of the grass because I did figure it was a church. It probably had special zoning. And I also kept the graveyard, even though, to the best of my recollection, the church that I was originally talking about did not have a graveyard. I love a good graveyard, so I kept it. And luckily, I have the Sims 4-2 conversion of the Life and Death expansion pack. And we've got some great gravestones. If I had some dead Sims, I, of course, would stick their gravestones there. And, maybe I'll go on to the House of Fallen Trees and send some of their dead Sims over there. If you don't know, that is a house that is in every single one of your downtowns and has a rich, sordid history. So you can go and look into that. That's one of my favorite houses to talk about here in downtown. But I wanted to keep our graveyard, and so we throw a couple graves over there before I go inside and start messing around with where the wedding arch is going to be. Now, one of the things that I'm thinking is I like that it is an old cathedral style, but I feel like it needs to have a platform. Like, if you look at most churches, most of them have a platform that the pastor is talking on or something like that. So that was my first thought. The only thing that I've had an issue with the platforms, and some of you can let me know how you all overcome that, but once I put the fencing on and I had already decorated all around that, I could not paint around the bottom of the platform, so I do end up leaving it natural. It did aggravate me, but I did not go back and knock everything off. So a couple of things when you're dealing with platform flooring is that if you paint it, a lot of times you can't get rid of the stuff that you put around the side, the paint on it, unless you demolish it. And with mine, I noticed once I had decorated around it, you're going to see I put bows and I put flowers. I do a bunch of stuff around this to make it look pretty, like it's going to be a wedding. And then I decide, because I wasn't sure if I was going to make it look like wood or if I wanted to make it look like stone. I'm trying to think in my head, okay, how would this church's platform, would it have been a newer platform or would it have been an older platform? And so I kind of had waited to do it, and then by the time I wanted to do it, it was already decorated and I couldn't. And I feel like that's probably a glitch, and maybe there's a mod for it, but I didn't want to go in and redo it. And sometimes my builds are a couple days long, so kind of coming back and forth and having to delete things that you've already done, it's too much, if you understand what I'm saying. So I just don't have the time a lot of times between I'm going to work, I'm going to school, and you guys understand that. You're just trying to kind of push ahead, and you see I get into crazy things. Why every window needed a fence around it? What is it? Sim children are going to plummet to their death, so they needed fencing around every window, because I get OCD about weird things, but I left the podium unpainted. I'm telling you, there are certain things that I don't know where my mind goes. I am very, very tipsy. Now, there's going to be that hole in the floor that's going to drive me crazy. And I end up putting a wall around it because here's my thought process. It's a hole in the floor. There's going to be a draft. And so anyway, so we're going to wall around it because we wouldn't want a draft in the drafty old church. So that's how it's going to be. And that's how we ended it. So one of the issues with this space is it's not really just for my sim daughter. However we decorate it, this is how we're going to leave it. So I didn't want it to be so over the top that if I have glitches and that sort of thing, I'm going to have to revamp it. It just needs to be nice for the wedding, but nice enough that I can leave and it's playable. So I just wanted to do some flowers and greenery in here. Then, of course, I remember that I have some Sims 4-2 conversions for gifts. I love to see gifts in my venues if we're going to have parties, and I end up doing that. I love the little white bows around, and I feel like that with some music is just enough. Once I go back into the main sanctuary, that's where I feel like I must have completely forgot what my idea was, because it was like it needed to be bigger, it needed to be better, and that's kind of what happened. I decided the bows needed to be perfect, and then I needed more plants, and I needed more greenery, and all bets were off. I don't know if I was directing the next big blockbuster and thought I needed bigger explosions, or how many of you remember that show Bridezilla, and I became Momzilla, and I just wanted the perfect place for our Sims to get married, and I needed it to be beautiful and enough flowers from all angles, because as you're going to see, I put flowers all around. I put greens on the front of this. I go crazy. The bows need to be straight, and I don't know. So this might be a warning to my daughter. Don't let me help plan the wedding, because Mom goes crazy. The nice thing about all of these items around this area is that you can click on them and change the colors, so that depending on the colors that you wanted for different weddings, you could actually come in here before the wedding and change the colors, which would be nice. And you could add more flowers if you wanted. Like if this was not ornate enough for you, you could change that. In just a second, you are going to see that I'm going to put a wooden floor on top of this platform, and then I am going to try to paint around the platform. And this is where I realized that I couldn't do it. I think had I not just gotten rid of the greenery on it, but maybe the railing, I probably could have gotten it to paint. It was probably just because I have the railing on it that it would not paint on the bottom. You guys can, I'm sure you're probably hollering at the screen the whole time. It's probably something very, very simple that I missed. I don't think it looks bad this way. I did mess around with it a little bit, but I do think I'm going to need to take my railing down in order to get it to paint, but I think it looks fine for the time being. I did almost think about putting like a little half wall in front of it just to hide it, but I didn't, because I don't think it looks that bad. We are now decided it is the new part of the church. They built that in. And so now we're coming to the outside, and you all know how I love doing shrubbery. I always feel like it's the details, like the details around the inside and the details around the outside, the little extras that really make it look great. Now, I do love the Sims 4 to 2 bushes, but I end up feeling like it's going to be a little bit overkill. One of the things I'm realizing with the pink soup is that if you put your lot detail to smaller, and your views, you know, the views that you can see far away, if you go in under options and shrink that down, it makes less pink soup. And also if you put less crazy details around some of your buildings, like your bigger buildings, because you can see like my details are not as far off, sometimes that helps as well. And so you're going to see me change how I was doing some of the bushes and things around this church, and just because I really do like doing a lot of detail, but I realized that sometimes less is more, because I do like to actually play my lots. I don't get to a lot of play because, like I said, I'm very, very busy. But if I want my Sims to either come in and I want to do screenshots, or I just want that rare moment where I get a few minutes to play, I don't want it to be that I'm restarting the game because it's flashing, or there's a lot that I can't use. The big lot that I've been building out that you guys have been watching me, it is atrocious. It gives me so much trouble. It's not even enjoyable to play. So that's one of the things that I've been learning, and I just wanted to give you guys the tip on that a lot of times just using base game items and a couple of extra little things means I can decorate and play. So the best of both worlds. We are going to be finishing up our landscaping here, and then there will be some screenshots at the end and live video. please take a moment to like and subscribe. And again, look for my content every other Wednesday. I release a new video, and between those times, some shorts. I look forward to talking to you all again. Happy simming, and bye-bye.